Hello out there. Welcome to the No Shit Cast. I'm your host, Matt Fraser. Woo! Thanks for joining us on our journey into the Internet College of Infinite Knowledge. My co-host for this evening's festivities, none other than the Grey Wizard of historical knowledge himself, Mr. Eric D. Smith. How are you tonight, Mr. Smith?
I am doing so super good. Well,
man, maybe like 2 more shows of this. Maybe. And we'll be back in the studio together again. Thank God.
Yeah.
Because we're finally officially starting to head out of the whole lockdown thing now. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it, Bubba. I can't wait to get you back in here. There's a different energy when you're in the studio with me.
Yeah, I prefer being there better, more.
It's a lot more fun, isn't it?
It is,
I mean,
yeah.
But you know what? We soldier on, Mr. Smith. We've decided to do this and take it serious. And yeah, what the fuck?
Hey, man, nothing beats being home right away after a show.
Hey, yeah, right. Like you're just
no
done.
driving.
Yeah, you're just boom done. But yeah, it's gonna be kind of cool though, man, because I'm looking forward to that. Getting back in the studio, getting on the good mics, and doing that funky thing we do together again. So I don't really have any show includes other than to say, man, last week's show turned out to be quite the gem with Reed. Holy cow.
Yeah.
It's performing super, super well. If you guys haven't checked it out, it's about Tom O'Neill's book. Reed did kind of came on and did sort of a deep dive with us into the whole, premise behind the book and kind of the ramifications of it. And it's done really, really well, man. People have responded to it super. So thanks, Reed, for doing that. And he's off right now.
Yes, thank you.
He's killing himself because he's trying to find that next thing, that's going to resonate like that. And it's almost a curse because he sort of came out the gate a little too strong. So he's got to top that, right? So good luck, Reed. We're all looking forward to it, Bubba. We're sure you will not let us down. So that's kind of about the only thing I had was, from, like I said, from last week's show. And you weren't there. You stepped aside on that one. Just kind of leave more space for the subject matter. And I get that.
That's not a subject matter that I am super familiar with, and it doesn't resonate with me as much as I think it did you and Reed. I think you guys were the appropriate people to deliver that bit of knowledge.
Okay, let me check. So I'm just looking here. I'm sort of driving the bus, the whole thing tonight. So,
although we do have to have Reed on at some point in time when we are all just being silly.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Like, like one of the Kenny and Greg sort of shows that we do, or when we have people on, they just come on to rap with us. We haven't done one of those in a while.
That guy I told you about that I talked to you on the phone at work, he said he'd be on the show too.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm just saying.
So anything new or pressing? I don't really, like I said, I didn't even put together a show question or anything for tonight. It was just kind of cool.
No show question.
No show question. I got articles lined up for tonight. I got some cool stuff I think you'll be interested in, but I don't know if there's anything. We can't talk about the Backstreet Boys. We don't want to do that. That's been wore out.
Oh, still can't talk about those guys?
I guess. Yeah. So, not that I want. I mean, it's kind of overdone, don't you think? I'm pretty sick of talking about the Backstreet Boys.
Yeah, I mean, some of the things and concessions that were in place are starting not to be in place and stuff now. Like we had where I work at, we had people on a catastrophe bill. It's like insurance.
Yeah.
And they took them off of that now, but everybody in Ohio was on it at one point for like just 2 months. There's something else that I can't remember what it is now that's that they're doing away with that was kind of like a benefit for that. I don't know.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I thought something that I seen that I thought would be real interesting to you. I think you may have seen me share it on Facebook or something, but it was the biblical scholars, or some biblical scholars are saying that the fourth seal of the book of whatever, the end of the world thing. What is that called? The fourth seal of the book of something.
Apocalypse.
Yeah, maybe has been broken, and that's what
it's
all of
like
this is.
then
So
like 4 horsemen come out and such and
yeah,
things
like
that.
yeah, that kind of thing. And so, but I do think that I feel like a lot of things seem to be very biblically plague-like. I mean, because we did sort of go from a contagion to giant fucking hornets to like some of this stuff obviously is overblown, but now I'm hearing like down in wherever the hurricanes come from, right, the Caribbean and stuff, the storm activity down there is crazy high. So there's a real high likelihood that the southeast is going to get whacked with massive hurricanes this summer, on top of everything else.
So we've had the Backstreet Boys,
right?
We've had the Murder Hornets.
Yep.
We've had the government releasing information on aliens.
Oh, UFOs are real, right?
Yeah, UFOs are real.
That's UFOs, not aliens. We want to be specific about that, right? Because they haven't shown us any little green men or anything.
Right.
Right. So
then there's the possible storms.
Yeah, crazy biblical level flooding and stuff like that's possible this summer. Yeah, sure.
Are we missing a third one or a fifth one?
It's funny because it's almost like the United States of America is built on like an ancient Indian burial ground or something. It's the weirdest thing, right?
It's been a long year already.
Oh my God. It's been a crazy 2 years this month.
Yeah. Sure has.
Yeah, it feels like it, dude. Holy cow.
And I don't think that the fun's over.
How are you feeling? Are you feeling like the Backstreet Boys are gonna like go? They're gonna stop touring this summer and then come back and tour like crazy this fall?
Man, I don't know. Like, my first predictions were based on this being an RNA virus and stuff, but then you hear so much news and propaganda and controversy.
It's hard
that you almost just give up trying to find a side or some solid ground even to stand on.
I'll tell you this.
I swear to God, I seen somebody on the Facebook page for the city we live in.
Oh God.
Yeah. And they threw down like blocks of text about the science behind why 5G interferes with your brain and how it disrupts the electrons and the molecules of the water and that keeps them from bonding to the hemoglobin, which is just not even accurate at all. But that's what they said. And it's because I knew at some point, like, I'm following it, right? Like, yeah, okay. And I knew there was going to be this one point where it would all hinge, right? Like, and here's why this is all bad.
Yeah.
And for this guy, it was that if you change the electrons in the atoms, like if they went to a different energy state, in their orbit from the nucleus of the atom, which is where that whole term quantum leap was coined to begin with.
Right.
That those exchanges, right? So anytime they get hit, like if they get hit with a photon, they go up in their orbit because the energy increases, and if they release energy, they go down, right?
Okay.
But this is a natural thing that all electrons do around all atoms, right? But he's saying that the G5 or whatever 5G is going to hit that at 60 hertz and cause the electrons to move in their orbit, presumably up in energy state, and that's going to keep the atoms from bonding. Well, he said the electrons from bonding with the hemoglobin, but the electrons definitely don't bond with the hemoglobin. Whole molecules of oxygen, H2O, bond with the molecules, right? But when it comes to the number of electrons, that's what keeps the molecules together, those atoms, Eric, staying together.
You're just a shill for big 5G. You're just a fucking shill for big 5G. That's it. Isn't it funny how that works, right? You take people that don't really understand a subject, so they're sort of learning on the fly, which I highly commend. Look, this is the thing with people that are very conspiracy theory minded, that are doing all the reading and echo chamber research on the internet, but at least they're doing something. So then there's the implication there that that they at least have a curiosity.
Mhm.
And I think where people sort of fall short is when you start to talk to these folks like they're somehow mentally deficient or something, right? And it's tough because I fall prey to like some of the flat earther stuff, and it's like, I was in the fucking Navy. You're wrong. It's like, but you can't, but it's like you gotta almost like back off and be like, no, and find a way to lead them, because they have that critical mind. They just it's like the individuals are just deficient of certain facts somehow,
I don't know. I see it like they have a preconception, that they have an analytical mind, but they approach the analytic issues with a preconceived idea.
Well, absolutely,
So
yeah.
that
Confirmation bias, absolutely, yeah. They don't go out and look at a subject matter and search for why their assumptions are wrong. They look for their subject matter with the assumption of what they're saying is right. So,
which makes it much more like religion. When you study religion and you look for enlightenment, you do so under the precept that this is legitimate and you're right.
Yeah.
And it's going to give you a particular kind of message.
God's kind of funny that way, isn't he? If you believe in him, you'll find him. If you don't believe in him, you can't find him.
Well, he's definitely funny.
Yeah.
any rabbi will tell you that.
Yeah. Oh, good Lord. Just look at us as a human condition. If there's a creator, he's got a crazy fucking sense of humor.
Yeah.
Really, really dark sense of humor.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, my life is sort of an example of that in most wider aspects.
Hey, bro, you're living good right now, though, G.
I am.
I mean, things are popping for you. Fucking.
That's why it's.
How many people do you know that have tracks that they've professionally engineered out on major record labels?
More than I used to, now that I'm
putting tracks out on major record labels, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, dude, I envy the fuck out of you. You're just crazy. It's crazy.
There's no reason for that.
So I've got articles and shit. You want to cover some articles, or do you want to keep yapping? I don't want to be going at like 12 minutes. We're gonna do like just a show tonight. I'm just trying to get these banged out, honestly, until we get back in the studio.
Right? Where it's really going to be a good show.
Oh my God, I cannot wait, bro! I cannot wait. We're gonna get the coffee strong. It's gonna be awesome.
We're gonna have to get some scotch or absinthe or something.
Ooh, we should do absinthe.
I got absinthe over at where I'm playing DnD. I just left it there.
I just saw something. Speaking of DnD, and yes, we'll do the absinthe for the back in the studio show. Okay, the potion. But I just saw, what's his name, Joe Magniola or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know how to say his last name.
Joe Magni, Italian guy.
Yes.
And there's some contest where you can win to go play Dungeons and Dragons with like him and his group or something like that, of like actors. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they have monetized it for sure.
Oh,
I mean,
big time.
Yeah, since it's all been like the Renaissance and it's all came back and everyone's into it now and it's the big geek thing to do. It's everything has went up, not just like, I'm sure there's money behind that, like in whatever you got to do to enter in or whatever. But even the price of modules and stuff and rule books from that time period, from like the first edition, they've skyrocketed in price because they know there's this elite group of Hollywood people who are all identifying with this now and wanting to get this and are willing to drop the money on it.
I've thrown so much of that shit away.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, but the thing is, you could pick that, you like 10 years ago, you could pick that shit up. Like, you could pick a module up for
a song.
If you was lucky, cheap. Maybe like $20-$25 or something. Now they're like $100.
Oh my God, you're kidding
Yeah.
me.
No, man. Like all the on the eBay and stuff. I mean, they're it's like they're all getting the idea and it's all
Yeah.
going up. It was like in waves, like because like that they call it the old school Renaissance or even D&D Renaissance, but it started with like this old school movement, and then people jumped on and started doing like newer editions, and it just kind of spread. And but there was a time when it was really obscure, nobody even heard of it or remembered it. You'd say, hey man, you know anything about D&D? And they'd say, isn't that game that was like the Devil's game in the
Yeah.
80s? You know, like
That's
they
that
were, you know, I've
Satan
forgotten about it.
worshipers and
Yeah. Yeah, so isn't that weird? Like it's like super popular, and then it's like taboo to society, and then it's forgotten, and then there's like this
yeah,
resurgence where it comes back, and
yeah,
it's even more popular than maybe
yeah,
before
yeah.
in terms of media and stuff. It's strange.
It's not even
Um,
coming back ironically though.
no,
It's like
no,
legitimately resurging with
yeah.
people.
Well, it's all these people who, when they were kids,
Yeah.
they played D&D like you did, like I did, and
And
now they're adults and they've got money and they've got
a bit,
control over certain entertainment aspects.
yeah.
You know, these people are actors or they're
And you could
writers
certainly
or
do it with your kids because that we were
yeah.
kids. It appeals to kids for sure.
Well, it
Yeah.
appeals to the entertainment industry.
Yeah,
I mean, what
definitely.
actor doesn't want to play D&D? What writer doesn't want to be in a good D&D story?
Oh, right.
You
Yeah.
know, like
Or
what producer doesn't want to see a whole campaign from
yeah.
beginning to end and the arc of the story? I mean,
Who could we get?
everybody.
Who in your your Rolodex of connections in that space could we get who would be like from that time period but is still influenced by it that could kind of talk about the resurgence? Like, is there I don't know if there's anybody like that now that I'm thinking
I mean,
about it.
there's probably a few people that would be able to, just depending on,
Mm,
I don't know, like probably Luke or something.
yeah.
He would probably be good to speak on
Just
that if
I'm
he had
thinking
the
out loud,
time and
man. It
inclination.
might be cool
Yeah.
because we talk about this all the time. We've had tons of people that were authors and worked for the companies and stuff on back in
Yeah.
the beginning of the show. Given that it's now, we were sort of talking about the resurgence when No Shitcast kicked off. Now we're
Mhm.
seeing it. Like I said, Hollywood actors and stuff are
Yeah.
involved in it. So it'd be kind of
Well,
neat to talk to somebody that's
10 years ago, 10 or so years ago, their first uh, Gary Con was like in a Legion Hall, like a really small
yeah,
three or like about 3 room area, and it was packed, but it wasn't, you know, it wasn't like people outside. And now they are in what used to be a Playboy mansion in Wisconsin on
yeah,
Lake Geneva. They're having it there, so I mean it's gotten huge, and part of that was when it got mentioned on Big Bang Theory,
yeah. That was a big part of it. Yeah,
and I'm just speaking specifically of Gary Con,
yeah,
which was just a small little con that grew big. In the midst of all of this is still Origins and Gen Con and Comic Con.
right.
There's all these cons that have just swelled up so big, and people go to.
Yeah,
And
wasn't we were talking with somebody that had something to do with Gen Con at one point, right?
Peter Atkinson, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I that's when we were talking earlier. That was one of the people I thought about getting back to and
Oh,
stuff. I
okay.
just, you know, we when I talked to him last, he was busy in the project where he was trying to do this movie thing, and we talked a little bit about that. And he said, you know, go and grow your podcast a little bit, and I'm going to finish this project, you know, and then if everything's still running smooth, get back in touch with him.
Yeah.
So we did that on our end, and I don't know what became of his movie project, but
Right. Yeah.
I certainly wouldn't hesitate to get back in touch with him again. We
Yeah.
had several email correspondences, and
That'd
I
be
don't
neat.
think it
I
would.
mean, yeah, just coming full circle, man. There's a lot of stuff
Yeah.
coming. It's like funny because like I'm ready to come out of this coronavirus. I'm sorry, Backstreet Boy concert lockdown, and like there's like a bunch of shit now. It's like, I want to get some of this shit rolling, like
Well,
anyway.
he was kind of like a key epic figure in all of that because he was the guy that ran Wizards of the Coast,
At the
which
yeah,
initially bought Magic the Gathering from Richard Garfield,
Mm-hmm.
and how big of a deal that was.
Yeah.
That swept the country. Magic the Gathering
Yep.
did, and with the money that was made off that, he was able to make a deal where he was able to buy TSR,
Mm-hmm.
who were in some dire straits at the time financially, and he made that deal and brought that back, out of the woods
Yeah.
and from dying, and made that company strong again, and eventually sold it to Hasbro
Right. Yeah.
when he switched over into running Gen Con,
Yep.
which is like the oldest or second oldest or largest role playing convention. So he's been, as far as I can tell, his whole career, he's been like right on the edge, the cutting edge of what's happening in the
Yeah.
role
Be kind
playing
of.
world, what's
He's the kind of
new and
guy you
what's
kind of. Hey, what are you into?
yeah,
And
yeah.
then take
It's
notes.
always interesting. Yeah, yeah. It's always interesting to see what he's up to
Yeah.
because it's always something creative, interesting, and he looks like he has a good time doing it. He seems like a decent sort of fellow, as far as I can tell, in emails and stuff. Facebook.
All right, brother. Let's do some articles, and
Yes.
we'll bang out an hour show tonight, and get the rabid fans beat back a little bit, so they don't think we've disappeared and died of the Rona. So I got some articles here. This first one comes from IFL Science. One of the earliest known uses of the F word found in manuscript written during the plague. Seems appropriate, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's plague related.
Right? Let's
So
see. A medieval rap. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna. Is this like where it's like the name of the Van Halen album?
For unlawful carnal knowledge.
Yeah.
I don't think that's. They're talking about the earliest written use of the word, so I don't know if they're saying what it. The article says a medieval rap battle written during the 16th century plague contains one of the earliest known uses of the F word, known collectively as the Bannatyne manuscript. The anthology was collected and written in the last 3 months of 1568 when Scottish merchant and student George, that guy, was in lockdown in Edinburgh, Scotland following an outbreak of the plague.
Everybody, you got to do something.
Yeah, so he invented rap. Wouldn't that be ironic if a pasty ass, redheaded, white Scottish guy has the first? Anyway, I just think it would be hilarious. Hidden away in his country retreat 5 centuries later, Bannatyne would be celebrated for his, quote, anthology of poetry that today contains one of the oldest known recorded uses of the F-bomb.
I definitely use the F-bomb in my poetry often.
I mean, who doesn't?
Right.
A documentary aired by BBC Scotland features the F word. In the documentary, Dr. Joanna Kopazik, a historical linguisticist, linguistics. Oh, yeah, I fucked it up. Linguistics expert from Glasgow University, calls it, quote, some very juicy language, reports the Scotman. Did you understand that? Did I fuck that up the entire time, or was that?
No, a linguist from Glasgow says that
it was very spicy.
She's verified that this is the situation.
Ooh la la. The manuscript also contains the work from around 40 featured authors. Many of the pieces are found in other manuscripts of earlier printed sources, but the, quote, collection as a whole is of unique importance, notes the archives. In addition to the F-bomb, the manuscript also contains some of the best work from the country's most important poets and, in some cases, remains the only record of some poems, fable, and religious verses. Religious verses?
So does it give an example?
It says, quote, the Bannatyne manuscript is a collection of some 400 poems compiled by young Edinburgh merchant George Bannatyne in the last months of 1568, when an outbreak of plague in Edinburgh compelled him to stay indoors. It is one of the most... fucking relevant, right?
Yeah.
It's one of the most important surviving sources of older Scots poetry. The manuscript remained in his descendants' possession until they gifted it to the Advocates' Library, the National Library's predecessor, in 1772. A spokesman from the National Library of Scotland told IFL Science in an email. Though it's not the oldest recorded use of the F word, that credit goes to a man by the name of Roger Fucky by Thinnavel. Fukin by Thinnavel. Woo!
Okay.
Who dropped the F-bomb in a 1310 courtroom. According to The Independent, around 2 centuries later, the expletive makes its appearance in William Dunbar's epic poem, The Flightings, Dunbar, and Kennedy. The medieval equivalent of modern-day rap battle. Oh, okay.
That's weird. So before that, though, used in a courtroom, and presumably as a explicit, like, cuss word or something.
That's what it looks
right?
like, but it also was the first 4 letters of that guy's name, right? That's what they're saying. It's the guy, because so it's spelled FuckEbyThenAvele. Roger fucking Bythenval.
Fucking fuck.
Who dropped the F-bomb in a 1310 courtroom, according to the Independent. Okay, so so that F word looks like it was a truncation of his own name. But okay.
All right. Better than having a disease named after you, I suppose.
I guess, right? Yeah, like Dr. Gonorrhea.
Yeah, Lou Gehrig's disease or whatever.
See, you're being all serious. I was just anyway. Quote is, it has long been known that the manuscript contains some strong swear words that are now common in everyday language, although at the time they were very much used in good-natured jest. In particular, the flighting of Dunbar and Kennedy, a great slanging match between the poets William Dunbar and Walter Kennedy, has been infamous for giving us one of the earliest known examples of these terms in written form, said the spokesperson. So so we can credit Scottish people for the F-bomb, or at least, right?
For making it popular, maybe?
Yeah. Well, in addition to giving us the golden elixir of the gods in Scotch, they gave us the F-bomb. I don't think Scotland gets enough credit, man. I'm just saying.
Golf, fuck,
and
Scotch.
And Scotch. And kilts, which I own 2 of. And I must say, they are the most comfortable apparel. I don't mind wearing them.
See, someday we got to do a show, and I got to be in my gi, and you got to be in your kilt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just look like fat bastard as well. The problem is getting me belly, baby. Europe saw several waves of the plague between the 6th and 17th centuries, and Scotland was no different. Quarantine measures put in place resemble some of those seen today, including self-isolation and 40-day quarantines on goods imported from places where the plague was known to persist, according to the NLS.
NLS. What is the NLS
National
again?
Something of Sciences, I'll guess.
Yeah.
I'm just guessing, though. Many Europeans believe that the plague was a punishment from God until the 19th century. I bet they believed the 4th seal of the Book of the Apocalypse or whatever was opening too, right?
That hasn't changed either.
He's been late an awful lot of times, dude, or not showing up. I'm starting to feel like a dejected, divorced family kid.
Maybe it's already happened and we just weren't told.
Yeah. Many Europeans believe. Okay, I already said it. Maybe, yeah, but they're supposed to be like trumpets and shit, I think, or something, right? We're all supposed to. Anyway.
I mean, do the Amish know about the Backstreet Boys?
I think they probably do now. I mean, it's not like they do interact with.
Well, yeah.
So, I mean, they get newspapers and shit.
Do they?
Yeah. Yeah, they shop in like stores and same places we do. A lot. Believe that was punishment God until the 19th century when it was discovered that a bacterium known as, maybe you can help me with, Yersinia pestis, carried by
Yersinia?
Yeah, Yersinia.
Oh, why?
Yeah.
I was thinking of you.
Carried by rodent fleas was responsible.
Huh.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yes.
I agree. I bet that poor bastard invented it. Some Scottish person invented the word fuck. Now we know.
Fuck.
Because I always thought it stood for unlawful carnal knowledge. But it looks like that might have been bolted on after the fact.
Maybe so.
You know?
Yeah. And I mean, if it was somebody's name, then it would have been fairly undefined, which makes sense because you can use it as a noun, a verb, or an adjective, right?
Well, people's names have become synonymous with not necessarily good things because of something they maybe have been involved in, right? Like Ponzi, a Ponzi scheme is named after a guy, right? It's named after the person, I think.
Well,
I'm almost
yeah.
positive of that.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm just saying if this was somebody's name and it was just something that people started saying that didn't have a direct meaning or definition, like if it didn't, like that guy got named after some type of event or thing, right?
Ponzi?
Yeah.
I think he was the one that did it.
But yeah, the thing was named after him.
Yeah,
right?
it was named
right?
the structure of the scam was named after him. Yeah.
Right, but in this case there wasn't no specific thing that word was attached to, right?
Except the first four letters of that dude's name.
Guy's name, right.
Yeah.
So if people started using it, it would make sense that sometimes they use it as a noun, like you fuck or that fucker.
Yeah.
Or you could use it as a verb, like
and an adjective,
that was fucking awesome.
Yeah. It is the most flexible word in the English language.
Yeah,
sure.
like it's got covers a lot of ground. Maybe that's why, because it was somebody's name, and people just started using it because it just sounded good. It
works.
Yeah, you can get it off. Yeah,
it works.
In that, what's that movie? Boondock Saints, where the guy's got Tourette's and
I still have not seen that. You even loaned me the DVD and I never watched it. Well, I still have to see that. I think it's on demand somewhere. I got to check that out.
I'm sure it is. It's a fairly popular movie.
Yeah, I've heard it's really, really good, but I
haven't seen the sequels or nothing.
I didn't even know there were any.
Yeah.
All right, this one comes from Unilad. Researchers discover first ever evidence of anyone being killed by a falling meteorite. Yeah, I'm sure it's happened, right?
Something. Well, it hit this lady. We've have evidence of that. It pretty much screwed up her life.
Yeah, it hit her in the hip, though. It didn't kill her, right? It came through the ceiling of her house. Boom, when she was sleeping in bed.
And they offered to buy it from her, but she wouldn't sell it. And then she tried to sell it later, and it was kind of like a curse. Like it messed her economy up and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it hit her, came through her house, and while she's taking a nap, hit her.
Boom! Boy, that'd be a rude way. I worked at a factory one time, in Columbus, Ohio. That next to our facility, we had this place that made mulch. Okay, like the shit you put in flower beds and stuff. And it sucked because it was always damp and it was always catching on fire. They had to keep turning it, like with big bucket loader backhoes and stuff. They had to keep like digging it up and turning it over, and it just smoked constantly.
Mulling with the mulch.
Well, decomposition creates heat, and it's actually catching on fire inside. So they're constantly turning it, trying to cool it down. But they had these like enormous machines that they just throw like a log into, and mulch comes out the other side, like these big barrel-shaped things that spun. Yeah. And one night we're working, and we hear the loudest boom, right? And it was like a boom, boom. It's like, what the hell? So everybody starts running to make sure something. We had like endothermic gas furnaces and shit in the plant, so it was like, what the hell was that? And what had happened is a probably it was a piece of rolled or round steel bar of steel, probably about, I don't know, it was under a foot, but 8 to 10 inches long, about 6 inches diameter, had come through the ceiling of our plant and then hit a piece of conveyor on the plant floor, right? And so there was a hole in the ceiling and a huge dent in this piece of conveyor, and then this super hot piece of steel, bar steel, laying there, and it looked like it had been cut, like in a machine shop. And it was like, where the hell? Like, we thought, did it fall off an airplane? Did it? But it turns out that one of them mulchers, something got pushed into it that was with it, and it hucked that fucking thing through the air and through the roof. And came into the plant. It just reminds me of the lady being hit while she's
right. Yeah, like you've heard me when I say congratulations for surviving another 365 days on our planet for birthdays.
Yeah,
you know, and a lot of times if people question me, I say, well, you know, without getting hit in a car accident, getting mugged, and shot, you know, or maybe just having a rock fall from the sky and hit you.
Yeah,
I mean, like I would think of that lady, and I didn't mean like a giant meteor wiping out civilization.
Right.
I just mean a random object from outer space that traveled for millions of miles and just so happened that you and it intersected at the same point in the universe at the same time. Like, how unlikely it could happen. It has happened to people.
You know,
isn't that fucked up?
That's pretty fucked up. Well, that's what I've said. It's always been the irony to me of the concept of conscious deity giving a shit about us as people. Because it's like, if there is a deity, it doesn't appear to give much of a fuck about us or life in general.
Not when a rock falls from outer space and hits you.
And just wipes everybody out, right? Yeah. Or comes through your
dinosaurs.
Ceiling. But anyway, not to I digress on that. Anyway. Okay, so it's thought that millions of meteors hit the atmosphere every day, but not many of them succeed in actually entering the atmosphere and striking Earth. Since 1988, NASA has detected 822 fireballs that have been big enough to explode in the atmosphere and cause meteorite debris to come or rain down on our planet. I guess that's they don't all make giant craters. Thought the amount of debris that actually makes it to Earth is a fraction of the number of meteors that hit our atmosphere, it's still enough to make scientists assume that at least some of the falling rocks would have caused fatalities among humankind. However, there was previously been a lack of any reliable historical record confirming this. Yeah, you'd think that would make like news. Someone would be like writing that shit down in clay, and then Margaret fucking vaporized, and a rock came down and smacked her.
You know who we're sure God didn't like? John. This we are sure of.
We are Nothing certain else. Of this.
Yeah, everyone else is just praying.
He wandered off into the wilderness, and then boom.
Yeah. And we were like, okay.
We'll
see you in church on Sunday.
In a paper published in Meteoritics and Planetary Science. Meteoritics? There you go. And Planetary Science, researchers describe how they discovered 3 manuscripts written in Ottoman Turkish.
Ooh, yeah, okay.
So it's kind of sexy, huh? That were extracted from the General Directorate of State Archives of the Presidency of the Republic of Turkey. That sounds official. The documents were only recently transferred to a digital archive and translated, which is why they have not been uncovered before, Science Alert reports. Yeah, that's kind of cool, man. That's a big benefit of how they're digitizing everything now. Is the cross-reference libraries are just becoming enormous, I'm assuming. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because of access. Like I heard they're digitizing the books of the Vatican. Not all of them, of course.
Yeah.
There's some of them they don't want you to know about, right? But that's the conspiracy theory.
I wonder if they've got any more Books of Mormons digitized, because there's like literally a portion of the Book of Mormon you're not supposed to read until you're ready to accept it, because if you read it, you'll be held accountable for it.
I have a Book of Mormon. Is it like, are you saying it like missing? It's probably missing something.
No, I'm just wondering if they would want to digitize it.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
and make it that readily available, because like when I got my first Book of Mormon, they were like really cautious and like marked the pages, told me I could read anything but those pages. and that they kind of wanted to talk to me before I
Yeah.
did.
Oh, that makes
Yeah,
it's like,
because
oh, then I'm reading them pages first.
I know first, right? Exactly.
You mean don't
Right
look
off the
right
bat.
here? Okay, I'll make sure I'll bend them
Right.
over so I don't
Your
look
only
at those.
regret is it's not actually a magical arcane tome that somebody is handing you that really
Yeah.
actually has magical powers,
Right.
and then they tell you don't read this. I mean, like, that's the only thing that would really make it better.
That's only the spells in the Harry Potter books.
Right. And things wrote in Latin.
And things in Latin and stuff. Let's see. The manuscripts were written by local authorities and addressed the government, explaining that in August of 1888, at about 8:30 p.m. local time, a large fireball.
Just the facts, man.
Just the facts, man. That's Joe Friday. Turkish Joe Friday.
That's what it sounds
tell
like.
me about. I better not do that. Anyway, a large fireball was seen in the sky. After the fireball was spotted, meteorites fell like rain from the sky and over a small village in what is now some Turkish Iraq place, some Iraqi place, for a period of about 10 minutes. Nope. The falling debris resulted in the death of one unnamed man and the paralytic injury of another. Local authorities also noted damage to crops, which is consistent with a fireball shockwave. It's from Russia Today. Anyway, according to the reports, there was also a rock to corroborate the story, though researchers failed to find it. However, the three separate documents describing the incident are considered extremely convincing.
It's like the Tunguska event.
What's that?
Another example of a rock exploding over the earth before it actually strikes, or any number of conspiracy theories. I mean, if you Googled Tunguska event, you would have to filter through a bunch of different type of things. Yeah. Like the first time I heard about it was when I was 10 years old, lived in Powderly, Texas, and I had a book about black holes that I was reading, and it postulated that the Tunguska event was a micro black hole that hit the earth there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but now they've got it pretty much, they figure that it's possibly a comet-like body, one comprised of having water inside that may have been like ice at some point, and as it comes down into the atmosphere and gets hot, that water turns into steam and blows it apart, essentially.
Steam's very powerful,
and then it like just lays trees down and knocks people over, and it rains rocks and stuff. So
it's funny because most people don't learn to or respect the explosive power of steam until they fuck up a pressure cooker the first time. Like that was the way when you know what I'm talking about. Boom, and everything's on the ceiling.
A lot of train engines would blow up like that in the early days.
They were dangerous. Yeah,
really bad.
That's actually there's an engine called a Stirling engine that's like a temperature differential engine, and I think his name was Robert Stirling. Speaking of Scots, because I'm pretty sure he was Scottish, and he like invented this because of the fatalities that kept happening with steam locomotives. But it was quickly surpassed by, electric trains where you had a generator and an electric engine ended up becoming the standard anyway. Anyway. So I was thinking about that, with the poor people getting hit by asteroids, because I've been seeing this a lot lately. Like Chinese rockets keep landing in other countries and villages and shit. Or dumping fuel all over villages and stuff. And there was what the hell was that?
That's one of the locals on their motorcycle enjoying the
cow.
quarantine procedures.
I thought maybe you had some sort of synthesizer going in the background or something.
No, that's just
that was crazy.
On a motorcycle. Yeah, they come by here and they honk a lot.
Yeah,
I got my windows open, but they honk a lot.
So you're popular, man.
Why. It's above a bar.
Remember when we did that article about India shot down a satellite, but then it spewed like a shotgun like debris cloud that's just whipping around the planet now, looking for satellites to crash into. Well, I just read something the other day. Now Russia's got a rocket that broke up on launch, and it's out there zinging around now. There's like all this trash starting to accumulate, and then Elon puts 420 satellites, low orbit satellites up there. It won't be long. We won't be able to leave the planet. We're sort of building like our own.
They'll need a space traffic controller.
Like billions of years from now, man, it's all going to collect into a new moon. It's just going to be circuit boards and shit like that. Speaking of weird ways to die, you want to do this one?
Yeah.
A woman, this is from IFL Science, a woman was saved from a gunshot wound by her silicone breast implants.
Well, I can see that.
Would you like to see that? I think there's pictures. I mean, I really think there are. So.
I don't know. It'd be interesting. It's kind of like a Wonder Woman thing.
I see those like anytime I watch those shows on the military channel where they're shooting guns and trying to show you how devastating the bullet is. They shoot them into like these gelatin blocks.
Jelly, yeah.
And they put it in slow motion. So imagine it's kind of the same idea there. You know, it's a medium that can transition that shockwave into a non-lethal way. Increased time of impact, right?
And you know that plastic surgeon is totally like on it. Now with improved bullet stopping capacity, they're like totally selling it. Like it's not just for looks, lady. It can save your life.
It's a
ballistic
gels.
Yeah, it won't stop knives or edged weapons, but
stop a bullet.
Yeah, blunt and projectile weapons, you're good.
It says a 30-year-old woman has an unlikely hero to thank in saving her life from a gunshot, her silicone breasts. The Canadian woman was walking down the street when she reportedly started feeling heat and pain in her left chest. When she looked down, she saw blood and promptly took herself to an emergency room where she was transferred to the hospital's trauma center. Doctors determined, she didn't even know, that she had been shot in the chest at close range with a firearm.
We figured out what happened. We're really surprised you didn't know.
But that the bullet was likely deflected away from her heart by her silicone breast implant. She didn't know. I mean, I guess how big were the implants? Maybe she.
I don't know. They're big enough they'll stop a bullet.
Her name is Barbie, and she's down at the dirty scoundrel on the weekends.
So did they say it was at close range? They said.
Yeah. The doctor said.
So how did this happen?
Close range being maybe something went down and a stray bullet hit her or something. Who knows? Quote, the silicone implant was likely responsible for deflecting the bullet's trajectory and saving the woman's life, write doctors, in a case report published in Plastic Surgery Case Studies, describing the woman as being a comfortable patient in no distress.
All right.
Except they deflated her left boob. A single entry wound in her left breast and high-resolution computer tomography scans, CT scans, determined that the ballistic had first entered the left breast, where the debris and air were found, and was deflected by the silicone implant before entering the right breast, where the implant was found and in a completely flipped position. Doctors inspected the breast area to ensure that no other damage had occurred before removing both implants.
Is there anything else wrong with this woman's boobs?
Oh,
nope. Just this bullet, sir.
Just these bullets, sir.
All right.
Based on a trajectory of bullet entry clinically and evaluation radiologically, the only source of bullet deflection of the bullet is the left breast implant. The implant overlies the heart and intrathoracic cavity. I can say shit like that anyway. And therefore likely saved the woman's life, write the doctors. So reason number 300 and some 1,258 to get breast implants, maybe it makes you semi-bulletproof. Bullet resilient, I would say, would probably be the right word there.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
necessarily.
Bullet less likely.
honey, it could save your life.
Right? You need them. You need two.
I don't like them. I've never been into them. I'm not a fan.
Yeah, I don't think I
There's
would
something
like them at
unnatural
all.
about them things. They're just like, you know,
Yeah, they're like
fucking angry.
They're like bullet stoppers.
Yeah.
That's why they're unnatural. Normal boobs wouldn't stop bullets like that.
I feel like they're making me feel guilty. They're just like, you should feel guilty. It's like I do. Okay, this one's for you. This is from Smithsonian Magazine. We're moving up in the world, Mr. Smith. You got to read this one with our pinky in the air. Okay. The ancient battlefield that launched the legend of Hannibal. Oh, are you intrigued? You still got your pinky up.
Oh, Hannibal, he was definitely the scourge of the Romans. He was from Carthage, and he's famous for marching his elephants through the Alps.
Alps, right? It says the legend of Carthaginian. I can't say that 10 times fast. General Hannibal, famed for leading some 30,000 soldiers and 37 elephants across the Alps and into Italy during the Second Punic War, has to start somewhere, and now researchers think they may know where.
Okay.
They had. Go ahead.
Yeah, they had him up like where it started at.
Mm-hmm.
On the European continent, I'm presuming, as opposed to starting in Carthage where he's from.
Yeah, right.
Because they normally had him coming up through Spain, up through that peninsula, like through the Straits of Gibraltar and up through that way. That's been like the traditional idea. So
this is significant because this is the guy that basically was the first outsider sort of to beat Rome, right? Like to
it
showed they were sort of vulnerable.
Yeah, yep. Showed them they were vulnerable, and he was kind of like a boogeyman to Romans after that.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, did he win? Like, did he take over the Roman Empire, or did he
not completely? I mean, obviously Rome came back and stuff. I believe he was defeated by Scipio, but I'd have to go back and look. Yeah, because there's a lot of famous generals from that period of time. There was Scipio, there was Marius, and he had his guys were called mules, Marius's mules.
Yeah,
and he was like really famous for marching people really quick to places, and there's a few others and stuff. But I believe it was Scipio.
Mario's mules.
Yeah, Marius's mules. They were supposed to.
We will move your army faster than anybody.
Yeah, they were supposed to have been able to march all day with like 80-pound packs and stuff.
Also, it wasn't actually mules. They were just the nickname mules because
it was the centurions.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah, and they were called mules because they carried like up to 80 pounds of equipment on them and just fucking marched like I guess no other troops at that time. He was able to march them really quickly into places and stuff.
Show of force. Could get a show of force someplace. Yeah.
And there was Sulla too. Sulla was the general who attempted what Caesar attempted but failed, which is how they ended up having Praetorian guards in the city of Rome.
Okay.
So they had they started off having the army, and the army was like in the city and outside of the city, right? And it got to be so many armies, and it got to be so big, and there was generals that were in control of so much vast forces. One of them, at some point, his men became more loyal to him than the empire or the republic, rather. So he marched them, but he didn't succeed, and that's when they decided, well, we need like a guard in the city to keep these guys from doing this.
So they created yet another armed force that could eventually turn on them.
The assassinated emperors.
Right.
Later on in the imperial period, they assassinated emperors. So.
All that paranoia, and it ends up killing them anyway, huh? There's an irony in there somewhere, right? What they call poetic irony in there somewhere.
Yeah. Quit putting swords in your solutions.
Et tu, brute. Quit putting weapons in your solutions.
Right.
So there's Plowshares into swords into plowshares, sort of thing, right?
Plowshares into swords.
Is that? I thought it was like a return to peace was the sort of the premise of that.
I thought it was a taking up of arms,
Yeah,
like
maybe.
farmers taking up arms.
I guess it goes either way, right?
Yeah.
Remember,
right.
it's better to be a warrior in the garden than a gardener in the war. I'm just saying. As Manuel P. Villatoro reports in Spanish newspaper ABC, an interdisciplinary team says it found the long sought-after site of Hannibal's first major victory. There's the distinction. The 220 BC Battle of the Tagus. Tagus. Tagus? Probably Tagus. Tagus.
What is it again?
Battle of Tagus. T-A-G as in George, U-S.
Sure.
We'll go with Tagus.
Yeah.
Due to the mismatched accounts by classical historians Polybius and Livy,
yeah,
as well as scant archaeological evidence, historians have debated the battle's exact location for more than 200 years. Previously proposed sites include Toledo, but not Toledo, Ohio.
No, Spain.
Talavera de la Reina, Awarnez, a lot of shit I can't pronounce, but not Tagus. Newspaper El Pais. The new study arrived at its suggested location by combining battle accounts from antiquity with modern analysis of the shape and flow of the Tagus River and its surrounding landscape. Per the paper,
I bet that's satellite archaeology.
I bet it is. Yeah, we keep finding all kinds of shit like this, right? Like because of it. Per the paper, the researchers suggest the site of the battle of the Tagus is between the cities of Dribes and Ilana and Spain's Guadalajara province.
So they kept it in Spain. They just pinpointed where it was at.
Where it was actually located. Well, okay, yeah. So now, this is the cool thing, right? Because we've said this: underwater archaeology and satellite archaeology and laser interferometry are bending everything now. They're huge.
More and more discoveries will be initiated by those discoveries.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be more and more. It'll happen more and more.
Have you seen that guy? He's got the National Geographic where he does they use the drones, and he's a scientist, but he's an Asian guy. He's missing one, I think his left leg, so he's got a prosthetic. But he's like this, like he climbs and goes up, but he's been really instrumental in finding. Now they use the satellite photos to find those cities in South America. Mm-hmm, and then he is going in with laser interferometry and drones and different stuff like that and pulling the detail out.
Yeah, and that's what nuts. I meant by initiate it by.
Yeah.
Like there's going to be more. Yeah, with the LiDAR, the satellite archaeology, and the underwater archaeology, they'll be initiating a lot more archaeology in the future.
Well, and it's interesting because obviously it's alive for you right now and for historians because they're finding definitive proof for all kinds of stuff that either confirms and or officially puts to bed like long sort of thought theories and things. Like we talked about that, like the Venetians were
the Phoenicians?
Yeah, were supposed to be the Philistines. Yeah, Philistines.
Yeah.
And it turns out that now the DNA evidence that that's not true. They were just
that they were actually Greek people.
Yeah.
which was one of the main theories that had a lot of support and stuff. No real evidence or anything.
Right.
But a lot of support in the whole that makes a lot of sense category.
Yeah. That's kind of cool, man. It's a great time to be alive with this kind of stuff because of those discoveries and the things they're sort of figuring out now. It says Hannibal mounted his infamous invasion of Italy during the Second Punic War against Rome, which spanned 218 BC to 201 BC, so like 17 years. But 2 years before he took on Rome, the Carthaginian, how do you say it?
Carthaginians?
Yeah. General fought a pivotal battle closer to home. Carthaginian.
Woo. Carthaginian.
Polybius and
Carthaginian.
Carthaginian. With fine Corinthian leather. I don't know. Anyway, Polybius and Livy tell of the 27-year-old Hannibal's army being ambushed as it returned to its base and Kart Hadasht, located in the modern city Cartagena. Cartagena, maybe. Cartagena?
Carthagena?
Yeah, Cartagena.
Carthagena, maybe?
Probably. After defeating the Vetonus tribe and conquering Helmatica, near the modern city of... You know what? I'm fucking done with this. Hey, they found where it's at, all right?
Yeah, they know exactly where it's at and what it used to be called.
Holy Christ, man. This has got to come with like a pronunciation chart. Anyway, what do we got here? Reload. I don't know why it did that. So while we were talking about at the beginning of the show, the Pentagon declassified those videos. They were leaked when we were talking about Lieutenant Commander Fravor and the whole F-18 UFO incident, right? So now, in the middle of everything else that's going on in the world, right? The Pentagon, from ABC News, Pentagon declassifies Navy videos that purportedly show UFOs. So
it's funny that they say reportedly when they don't know what they are.
Right.
What do you mean reportedly? Do you know what they are? No. Well, then they're UFOs to you too.
Yeah, purportedly contain.
Allegedly, they're UFOs.
Yeah, like
somebody somewhere probably knows.
The Pentagon has declassified 3 previously leaked top-secret U.S. Navy videos that show unexplained aerial phenomena and that some believe could show unidentified flying objects in an effort to clear up any misconceptions by the public on whether or not the footage has been circulating was real or whether or not there is more to the videos, said a Pentagon spokesperson. Maybe they're just trying. I don't know. Maybe they're just trying to. Here, look at the shiny bauble. Don't pay attention to how bad.
Right? Yeah.
We're fucking
That's
everything
my first thought too. Like you can trust the legitimacy of the government themselves, right?
Yeah.
Although we just want to make sure that you guys realize these are real UFOs.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Gotcha. Quote, the aerial phenomena observed in the videos remain characterized as unidentified. The spokesperson added, yeah, nothing new here. They're just officially releasing what was already leaked.
You wouldn't know anything about how the government occasionally runs a propaganda and fear machine, right? Like
no, we've never discussed anything like that.
Never had a show about nothing like that.
Dude,
okay.
Yeah, that's got...
I know, right? Like it's not like you trust them when they're like, no, really, they're UFO. We didn't know either.
That
okay,
book,
sure.
Dude, I have to reconsider like everything, at least, especially if it's any sort of official narrative being propagated from an authority figure of any kind of repute.
Right?
Isn't that bad?
It's like it's all up in the air now.
I fucking don't know. I've said it too, like with the way they report this whole Backstreet Boys numbers and everything that's been going on. I mean, there's fuckery going on here. There's no other way to say. I'm not going to go on record of saying it's all bullshit or it's all true. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that there's fuckery going on here.
From the standpoint of a lifelong fucked up life, I can guarantee you there's some fuckery going on somewhere in all of this.
I can tell you from somebody that analyzes, troubleshoots, and fixes complicated systems, data-driven analysis and systems for a living, that when I see certain things, I know something's fucked up. And then it's just like, okay, the math isn't right here. I got to figure out where the error is. But I feel that way about all of this, man. Like there's definitely some fuckery going on. There absolutely is. And I think there's going to be no one is going to be happy with the results of all of this.
No,
nobody.
No, but I don't think that was ever. Or I don't think anybody was ever going to be happy. I think they're going to be less happy for sure. So I kind of agree. Yeah, I mean,
and I mean, I'm saying with good measure. Like there's going to be there's people whose lives have been completely fucking wrecked. That 5 years from now, we're going to look back and go, man, we probably didn't have to wreck those people's lives in our response to all of this. But, I mean, hindsight's always 20/20, right? So
watching countries go down in flames like Italy.
Oh, and Spain. And
in Spain, yeah. Like, it's hard to say whatever reaction we had to that
Yeah.
was, I mean, obviously that was what worried everybody, and that's where the erring on the side of caution the most happened,
Yeah.
was looking at those examples. And and I have heard reports and stuff now where they've said, and this will be endless, but just to give a different viewpoint on it, I guess, reports that have said things that they've taken into consideration how close their society is compared to ours, like how their houses are together and what their culture
Yeah.
is like and what they do, and the age of their people who are in the medical field
Yeah.
was a lot older. Apparently, we
Yeah.
have younger medical people,
Yes.
and they said taking those things into account, they kind of had
That's
strikes against them.
yeah. And
You
see,
know,
that's what I mean. Like, God's in the details kind of thing. And
yeah,
when I started looking deeper into the granular data, like age groups, pre-existing conditions, when you start sort of diving under the hood of that kind of stuff, I mean, for a reasonably healthy, under the age of 65 adult, it's fucking not terrible. I mean, it's bad. So that's what I mean. Like, there's some real justification for the outrage of people losing their fucking businesses and some of the stuff
sure,
that's going on here. And what just drives me insane is that, so when you look at the granular, there's a lot to be concerned about when you actually start ripping open the granular. To me, given the consequences, okay, when you start ripping open sort of the granular data and taking a look under the hood of what that number of confirmed cases and confirmed deaths really means, right? And um, so, but that, to me, that's a fully realized and sort of demonstrable thing that you could point to and go, "Hey, I'm really alarmed about that." But the way that anybody that's sort of opposed to this is opposed to it is, fuck you, I'm not wearing masks, washing my hands, I'm not doing, and it's like, no, that's not the thing you should be rebelling against, right? That's not fuckery. The fuckery's over here in the numbers, right? Look at the numbers, because that's where, but everyone's like rebelling against this obvious sort of accessible focus, which is these things like masks or people that want to social isolate and social distance and this kind of stuff. And
yeah,
I really think that if you really want to take a dive under the hood, and what sort of started me down this road of wanting to look deeper into the data was an interview that Elon Musk did. All hail Elon Musk, our Lord and Savior Elon Musk. But here's a guy that builds fucking rocket ships. He gets what looking at data means. Okay, he gets things like probability of success being that he's going to stick people in a pod and put them on the top of these fucking continuous bombs and shoot them into space, right? So he's got kind of a, he wants to put wires and shit in people's skulls so that they can, I think he
I was
kind of,
talking with that guy today about that.
so so when he starts talking about looking at the granular data, I'm like, I'm gonna go look at the granular data, and I'm sort of there too. Like I'm not gonna jump on the bandwagon here of the entire. I just think the whole response has been milk toast at best. And anyway, beat that horse to death. But let me give you some good news. You want some good news? Some
Yes.
really cool good news. This also comes from Smithsonian Magazine. You ready?
Yes.
Dolphins, surfers, and waves sparkle in bright blue bioluminescent glow off of the California coast.
Tribioluminescence.
Tribioluminescence. A rare bloom of
Yeah.
microscopic organisms capable of making their own blue light has transformed several of the state's beaches. It's kind of cool,
Yeah.
because nothing's in the water now. Like, a lot of this stuff's clear. How fast nature's sort of cleared everything up and
Yeah.
fixed
Yeah.
everything, right?
And turned on the lights again, and it brought the people back. The fish and the animals, and turned on the tribioluminescent
Yeah.
lights.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go crazy with this. I'm just playing the video here where you can kind of see. You can see, like, look, it was really neat. The first time I got past what we call in the Navy, the affectionately called the Turd line. out of Virginia or out of Norfolk. That night we had the props from the ship will stir these things up in the ocean, and you can see it behind the boat at night out at sea.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the first time I ever saw it, and it was like I was like, "What the fuck is this?" I've never seen anything like it.
There's some Navy shit right here.
There's some fucking life-changing stuff going on here, Bubba. Yeah, it's kind of neat because when you go out in a boat, a big boat, and you go out way out to sea, there's literally a line in the ocean where the water goes from like brown to the most gorgeous aquamarine. It's almost indescribable, the color of water, because I don't know, you just have to go see it. And they call it the Turd line. That's like the pollution line. I actually don't think it is. I think it has something to do with being close enough to shore. Like there's a scientific reason it's like that too, but it really does look like a turd line. Just going from the horizon to the horizon, both directions. This brown line, then you pass out into like this weird, I'm not even in the same place anymore.
You're out there, far, out past the turd line.
Way the fuck out there. So that's pretty good, man. We did an hour and 10 minutes. We'll do another one of these. Probably one more, hopefully, and then we'll be back in the studio. I hope. Maybe two more of these, and then we'll be back in the studio. So be good shit, huh?
Yeah.
Got anything else you need to say, Mr. Smith?
I certainly have some people in my life that are awesome.
Yeah.
And really happy about that.
You're living the dream, huh, Bubba?
I'm thankful for everybody that I have in my life.
It's a good place to be, man.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, well, let's end on a positive note then.
Yep.
All right, everybody, thanks for listening. Check us out at www.noshitcast.com. It's KNOWSHITCAST.com. Make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons. Leave us a comment. We'll try to get back to you. And give us a share. We greatly appreciate it. We'll catch you all next time. Thanks for listening, everyone. Bye, Sydney.
Bye. Yeah.